Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. This is an update that's kind of not really an update. I haven't done a video for a while because I'm still kind of stuck on a few things. I'd say this is the hardest part of the build, where you're so close to being able to finish it and drive it and see all your effort and money all sort of come together with an actual car. But things happen. Stuff doesn't work the way you want it to, and you have to deal with these things. So, last video, I probably should have looked at the last video. I don't remember where we were last time, but I've had some problems with my charger slash DC-DC converter. It's a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger with a 1800 watt built-in DC-DC converter. If you don't know what a DC-DC converter is, think of it as an alternator or as a 12 volt battery charger. So normally you'd have a 400 volt pack voltage charger that connects to the, you come home and you plug it in, and you'd also have a separate component DC-DC converter that charges your 12 volt system. It takes the 400 volts pack voltage and then steps it down to 12 volts, 14 volts for your, your normal 12 volt things, lights and radios, whatever. Well, this is a combined unit, which is kind of cool because it doesn't take up very much space. I've talked about it before. It's just sitting back there on the firewall. Problem is, if it dies, what are you gonna do? Your whole entire car is wired for that component. So, you could conceivably buy a different DC-DC converter, park it somewhere else, and sort of rewire a portion of your build. But it's way nicer to, have them combined. At least I think so. So that's something I dealt with. Still working on trying to get a fix for that. But and also my EVIC display is still not showing any kind of motor data. I got a hold of StealthEV and asked them about this problem. I bought the EVIC from them when I bought the motor, hoping, assuming really is the right word, that the EVIC display would just show motor data, would show the drive unit motor data, inverter temperature, motor temperature, and RPMs. But come to find out, it never did. It's never been programmed to do that. StealthEV never had the DVC files or anything. It never worked. Why wasn't I told this? I wouldn't have bought the display. I love the display. It's beautiful. It's nice and bright and clear, and it's a good resolution. But it's at least a third of the display are those three things from the motor data. I mean, it's nice on the right side of the display. You got your amp hours that's available in the pack, and your percentage of battery, and along the bottom you got two little bars that move back and forth for your power output, and also any region power input that comes in. But the rest of it doesn't work, so that sucks, man. However, I've got a friend who I was able to get the messages, the Tesla drivetrain messages, and I've been working with Andromeda. That's the makers of the EVIC display. I've been working with them, and hopefully we can get DBC files, or we can get the Andromeda programmed. The Andromeda has a studio interface kit, is the software, what the software is called, and it has some preloaded information. It's got the Orion BMS is preloaded into it, and it's also got like a Curtis controller and Reinhardt controllers, and it's got other stuff too. But so someone did the effort. Someone went through the effort to program those components so that the EVIC could read it. And if they can do it for them, then surely we can do it for the Tesla drive unit. And it's not just for me. I want Orion to have this for other people too. So it may end up costing me some money. I don't know, and I really don't care at this point. It needs to work. That's the bottom line. So that's kind of annoying. And at this point I don't want to drive the vehicle if I don't have a way to watch the temperatures of the motor and the inverter. I just need to know. I need to know what it's going to do. I don't know 100% that I've got enough cooling capacity in my radiators to keep it cool. So I need to be able to monitor it. Now StealthEV tells me, oh, don't worry about it because the drive unit will derate the power if it gets too hot. Well, that's wonderful, but you know, I wouldn't know why. All I would know is that it derated the power, and then I'd have to come home, plug it up to the computer, and find out what happened. So that's unacceptable. So this can happen. This is going to happen. It's just going to set this whole entire project back until it does. You know, that is what it is. I've also got some new springs on order. Found a company that makes custom coil springs. The back half of this, is a little bit low. At least it is compared to what the lift kit thinks it should be, because it's got about 600 pounds of batteries back there that it normally wouldn't have. So the springs that came with the kit just aren't up to it. So I've ordered plus 600 pound springs for the back, and then the front of it is probably heavy by 200 pounds or so. So I've got plus 200 pound springs coming for those. They should be here by, I don't know, the end of this month. That would be kind of cool. Will be cool. That of course is going to raise the whole thing up about 2 or 3 inches, which means my tires are probably going to look kind of funny and small. So, you do one thing, you got to do something else. So anyway, so that kind of sucks. So I'm kind of waiting on that stuff. In the meantime, I basically got all the 12-volt stuff wired. There's a few more things I need to do. I need to put a charge safety relay on the BMS. I'm not really going to go into why it needs it. I wish it didn't, but it kind of turns out that it does. And this is another thing that I just hope it works. But I have a bad feeling that it's not going to work the way I want it to. And what else? So, and I'm also sort of tidying up the inside here. I got that all taped off and masked. The hole there on the right is where the chain drops down for the hoist, so I can drop the motor out of the bottom of the vehicle. And then that hole there on the left is where the original four-wheel drive selector was. So I'm going to make a fiberglass mold of that. I already made one, which is kind of cool, and it fit right over there perfectly. But if you can see this line that I drew, I cut this too short. So there's this big gaping hole. Now I could go in there and just weld in a piece of metal, and this would cover it, and that would be fine, but as sort of penance for being dumb. Or I can remake the whole thing, which is probably better, and that's also penance for being dumb. I also made one back here since I had some extra fiberglass. Made this one back here. That just covers where the parking brake was. Now really, I should probably just cut that out and just weld in a piece of metal, so this is just sort of flat. But, it doesn't really matter. That'll be fine too. This is all going to be carpeted. And there's also some holes down here in the floorboards that, since I've got the fiberglass out and I've got some resin, I might as well cover them up too. I think you can probably buy some little rubber stops for it. I don't know. I'll just make little fiberglass things for it, and when they're all dried and trimmed out, then I'll just put some RTV down there and just sort of plunk those fiberglass things on there, and you'll never know it's there. So that's kind of cool. And let's see what else. I'm also working on the stereo system. I got all my RCA. Oh yeah, I kind of did this too. This is all sort of back together, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that there switch is for the parking brake. I don't know. I can't remember which way it is. One way is parking brake on, the other way is parking brake off. It's kind of arbitrary, and whatever it is, I'll just, I'll remember it. And you can tell by the sound too, so I'll forget first couple times. Then that is my switch for, there's 2 drive modes for the drive unit. The first drive mode will be sort of normal, and then the second drive mode, I'm going to have it so it doesn't have any regen, and that's for if there's like treacherous, like ice on the road or something, it's slippery conditions. I don't want the motor to stop me. I want to be able to let off the throttle and sort of coast, and then gently apply the brakes as I see fit, and driving. And that of course is the forward and reverse. And then here in the middle also, you got your little fog light switch. That's a normal thing. But then this is my heated seats. Excuse me. This is my heated seats right there. So that's pretty cool. These heated seats are kind of weird, and so am I. So these little red switches underneath here. So the heated seats have a relay in them. And the way I would have designed it is, so you got power coming in to power the relays, and then you got an ignition also. And the ignition would be the power to the relay coil. Then the fused power wire coming in would go to the relay itself, and then that would send power to the heating, the seats. But they don't do it that way. It's like the power wire does that, but then the ignition wire just turns the relay on. So like you turn the key on, and even if it's summer and 110 degrees, the relay for the power seats is on. Now, that only matters to me because OCD. It really doesn't matter at all. It's certainly not draining my battery, but I don't like that. So those little red switches there control the power to that relay, to those relays. I got one on the left seat and the right seat. That's all those are for. It's a little bit silly, but it's all right. And I kind of like them down there. They look sort of cool. And then I've been working on the amplifier and inverter situation. So this piece of plywood with the amplifier and inverter sort of oriented that way, haven't quite figured it out. It's going to go down along the bottom. There'll be a cutout for the driveline hump, and it'll sort of extend up to right here, more or less flat. There'll be another piece of plywood up here on top that will go out to the sides, and it'll hopefully contour to the wheel wells as best as I can. And then I'll take some of that epoxy and paint the top of the plywood, so if it ever does get caught in a storm, then it won't be damaged. And then where this piece comes down with the amps and inverter on it and meets this piece here, I'm going to have a big piano hinge. That was my wife's idea. It was a good idea. And then that way I can just undo some screws along the back. I'll just have them tap straight into the battery box. And if I need to do any kind of maintenance or check the batteries, then I'll just sort of flip the carpet up and then tilt this whole thing forward and have full access to the battery module. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so that's a good idea. And let's see. That's all I can think of at the moment. So yeah, a little bit of an update for you. Whoa, watch out! A little bit of an update, and you know, as things move on, these issues will be solved. It's just very annoying. This is just a very frustrating part of the build, but you know, you get through it because you have to. We're this far, so we're just gonna keep on trucking. So I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you continue to do so. Keep those comments coming. I enjoy reading them. And if you got any questions or anything, just let me know. It's me signing out. Have a good day.